People say they want change, but honestly, human beings are creatures of comfort. Because usually, staying the same for as long as possible can feel, or even when you're unhappy, or destroying yourselves, or know something is hurting you, can feel good. Because familiarity feels so much safer than uncertainty. And that's why real change doesn't happen when life feels comfortable. It happens when the pain of staying the same finally becomes greater than the fear of changing. Now, I think one of the hardest truths about human behavior is this. People will tolerate a shocking amount of pain if it feels familiar enough. People will stay in toxic relationships, stay in unhealthy routines, stay in self-destructive habits, stay around people draining them emotionally. Not necessarily because they enjoy suffering, but because the brain gets attached to what it knows. Even pain can be comfortable when it's predictable. And that's why people often stay so much longer than they should, because uncertainty feels terrifying. But eventually, pain will start becoming impossible to ignore. The heartbreak gets too heavy, the loneliness gets too exhausting, the anxiety gets too overwhelming, the habits start destroying your future. The environment starts to suffocate you. And suddenly the person realizes that they can't keep living this life. And that point in time, that realization moment matters because pain forces awareness, and awareness is usually what begins transformation. Not comfort, not convenience, pain. And unfortunately, not a lot of people talk about or enough about how painful growth actually is. People will romanticize healing like it's peaceful all the time. But honestly, growth often starts with breaking apart first. The old mindsets break, the unhealthy patterns break, the false versions of yourself break. And that process will feel so uncomfortable because your brain is losing the familiarity it's so comfortable with. Even if the old version you was unhealthy, it was still known, and humans naturally fear the unknown. And that's why change can feel terrifying even when it's necessary and good for you. I also think that some people only truly change after hitting an emotional rock bottom. Not because they're weak or broken, but because pain finally removes the illusion that things are okay. Sometimes people need to lose something before they understand its value. Sometimes they need consequences before they confront themselves honestly. Or need exhaustion before they stop repeating the same cycle over and over and over again. While pain is awful, it also has the ability to wake people up in ways comfort never could. But the thing about it is, pain can either destroy you or transform you, and it's your choice. Pain alone doesn't automatically make someone a better person, right? Pain can make people bitter. Some people use pain to grow, others use pain to justify staying broken forever or this unfixable thing. But that's the difference. Growth happens to someone who decides to let it happen. You could say, I don't want this pain to control the rest of my life. And that's the decision that will change everything. Because eventually the person will stop asking, oh, why me? Why does this happen to me, right? And start asking the smarter, deeper question of, what did this teach me? It's all about perspective. That mindset shift is very, very powerful. But there's also this sadness, the sad part about human behavior is how many people wait until life completely breaks them before they finally change. They ignore the warning signs, they ignore their own mental health, the toxic patterns, the unhealthy habits until eventually the consequences become unavoidable. But change doesn't always have to come from destruction. Awareness can create change too. The problem is pain usually gets people's attention so much faster. And that's why we wait. That's why we take so long and practically destroy ourselves over it. But in the long run and at the end of the day, my big takeaway from all of this is most people don't change when life feels easy. They change when staying the same finally hurts too much, because pain has a way of forcing people to confront things that they've spent years avoiding. While pain can break people, it can also rebuild them into someone stronger, someone wiser, someone more self-aware than they were before. Sometimes the worst moments of someone's life become the beginning of the rest of their life and their transformation. I think that's all I really have for you guys today. I'm sorry for the inconsistent uploads. Life's been pretty busy, but I also wanted to say thank you for being here. I genuinely appreciate every single one of you taking the time to listen to these type of conversations, because I know a lot of this stuff connects to experiences people don't always like to talk about openly. And hopefully this series reminds people that even painful chapters can still lead to growth someday. Thank you all. Have a great rest of your day. And as always, stay rolly.